I'd like to call the January 2024 board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrari? Mrs. Taliani?
Here.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Here.
Dr. Lynch?
Here.
Mrs. Alcorn? Mr. Pizzetto?
Here.
Mr. Sarver?
Here.
Dr. Sarver.
Hey, you think I've been busy, man?
Retirement's good.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone. Hope you're enjoying the January thaw. It'll be nice and warm next week. You need canoe to get here.
Yeah, right.
I would like you to look at the minutes from the regular board meeting for December 20th, 2023. There's no additions or corrections. I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pizzetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Pass. We have no board recognitions this evening. Our division spotlight tonight is the Student Support Services, and Mrs. Carney is here.
All right, so hi everyone.
Good
Thank
evening.
you so much for having me this evening. As usual, I get the privilege of kind of updating you on the wonderful things that Student Support Services is up to. I always start first just to make sure everyone in the room kind of knows who we consist of. So I'll start with that first, then I'll give you updates from each of our members as well as a spotlight on one specific thing going on within our division. So first and foremost, we consist of one school psychologist, 2 social workers, an attendance advocacy program coordinator, also known as AAP coordinator, 1 AAP teacher. They are in charge of like our credit recovery program. The 2 school nurses, 5 school counselors, 1 school counseling intern, and 1 SEL interventionist. So we're a fun, eclectic group, basically with the charge of helping support students throughout their high school experience. Updates from each of them. I'm going to start first with the school psych. She's continuing to conduct social emotional crises evaluations and supports. January is a huge month for IEPs. In fact, she has 55 IEPs in the month of January alone. And obviously with the snow days, we've been kind of rescheduling those. That'll be going into February, obviously, as well. She also coordinates the standardized testing accommodations for the students with IEPs. She coordinates she also attends the 8th grade staffings, and she actually said that takes about 10 days in February to go to all of the sender schools and meet with the students with IEPs to help them prepare with their plans for high school. So she's got a busy 2 months especially coming up here. The social workers. Our 2 social workers provide social work minutes for 78 students with special education services. They also provide individual and group social work services. They complete special education, initial and reevaluations. They attend annual IEP meetings of students with social work minutes. They also assist, one of them is also our homeless liaison, who is actually assisting currently 32 students and families that are designated homeless. One of the social workers is also bilingual, so she also helps with providing translation services for a lot of our students and families that come in that speak Spanish. They're also providing services to Pride, Oasis, Transitions, Goals, and Life Skills programs, and they provide crisis intervention services to all students in need. Updates for the AAP program. They're the program that offer full-time credit recovery as well as supplemental credit recovery classes to our students based on referrals primarily from the counseling office. They currently have 13 full-time students in the classroom. 5 students have already graduated actually from that program this year. 10 of those 13 students can actually still graduate on time this semester with the additional credits that they can earn within that program. 3.5 credits is what a student can actually earn in a regular schedule versus 4 and up to 5 credits as needed per semester. They also have some of their classes are online classes specific to the student's needs, and others are taught by the teacher herself. They also have certain components within the full-time credit recovery program related to work hours, which they actually have gotten the most work hours turned in by any group so far. So they're really excited with how hard everyone's working outside of school as well for their work credit. They also have experiences where they get to go out and volunteer in the community that they are working on to get going this semester as well. The coordinator monitors, manages, and coordinates various truancy-related services as well. So we hold, every other week we have attendance meetings where student support services will meet and go over like the list of students, their attendance, current attendance data, as well as what services are being provided and what services can still be identified. She also coordinates and co-facilitates the Pathways group for our expecting parents or parents who have had children. And then she is the AAP coordinator, is also the co-lead on the new Caval Care program here, along with Mrs. Eichelkraut, one of our counselors. And they're excited. They've been super busy identifying adult mentors within the building, as well as students that would benefit from that Caval Care program. So they're looking to launch that early February with all the work they're doing behind the scenes right now. Updates from the nurses. The most important thing is they're super excited about the facilities update. So huge thanks on behalf of them, for sure. The facilities are just amazing, and obviously it's working so well for them in terms of like the student needs that they had identified prior to doing so. So they're very excited about that. The next two bullets basically talks about the different trainings that they've been actually like attending. They completed the Rescue Illinois Schools program training, and they are now basically, we have undesignated asthma areas where they can administer medication available within the school for students who are even unidentified. They also were trained on how to use Narcan, how to administer that in case of an opioid overdose within the school. So those are the two new trainings for them. And then they also were excited. They received the COVID test from IDPH for students and staff to basically take home and use as needed. So that's their updates. The SCL interventionist, she just finished conducting the second student screener that actually just closed today. After those results are in, which actually should be in pretty quickly here, she will send letters home to all of the families, letting them know how their students did with the screener, identifying any potential services, and seeing if those parents would like, or guardians, would like their student to participate in individual or group counseling services. First semester, she actually offered 5 different groups, 2 self-esteem groups, 2 anxiety, and 1 coping skills group, to 40 total students approximately. And groups typically run 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes longer depending on the student's needs. Especially the coping skills group, that's an open group that students can continue to join as they're identified, highlighting certain, like a different coping skill or mechanism every week. So, she also provides individual counseling services on a weekly basis to her identified caseload. And she refers students obviously to outside resources as needed. She is also the lead in a new group that they established called the SEL Hub, and I will be highlighting what their work has been over the past several months here at the end. They're going to be my spotlight for the entire division. Lastly, from counseling, we are still averaging approximately 35 to 40 students served individually per day in the counseling office. We still go out and do a lot of lessons in the classrooms. Currently, we are doing every Thursday, we are doing a different lesson to help register students for the next year classes. So tomorrow, last Thursday, we did the future seniors, and we basically went over, here's a reminder of your graduation requirements, post-high school requirements, talked about how to tie that with their future plans, and then had them actually register on PowerSchool with their own student requests, their course requests. From there, we will start meeting with them individually to go over their individual plans to make sure what they picked was accurate and to change those if not, especially based on our individual conversations on what their goals are. So tomorrow will be the future juniors, and then next week will be the future sophomores. February 5th through the 8th, we will be doing our 8th grade registration meetings. with the parents and guardians, parents and students and or guardians to help pick the freshman level courses as well. So we've already done our visits to the middle schools in December, and then we'll pick the official schedules February 5th. So that should be pretty exciting. Other updates, we're going to be offering groups again. We're going to be doing grief, study skills, substance, transfer group, and College 101 workshops. The transfer group, as a reminder, we started that a couple years ago, and we basically take any student who is a sophomore or higher, invite them to attend a once-a-month meeting. We created the curriculum based on what the students' needs were, as well as we got curriculum from some of the other schools that some of us had been at before. And each month we address different things that are happening specific to LP to help answer questions, to problem solve with them, and then to also have them have conversation to help one another in the issues that face a student transferring to another environment. We also have paired them with mentors, and actually this year we've seen an increase in students that are solely Spanish speaking. And so we've had an influx also of students who want, that are bilingual, who want to assist those students and serve as mentors as well. So it's really fun to see the leadership that a lot of our students, even that typically aren't serving as leaders, have been providing to our students. It's been a pretty rewarding experience. College 101, those are our workshops that focus on the post-secondary planning process for our seniors. We established that because we have a very high first-generation college student population. Approximately 45% of our students are first-generation. So the FAFSA was pushed back a little bit this year. They launched the new FAFSA just within the last couple weeks here. We did a FAFSA completion workshop for parents last Thursday, which was very well attended. We're offering Thursday services for ISAC, and obviously meeting with our seniors and doing more workshops on the FAFSA completion initiative. So lots of exciting things going on right now. The FAFSA is obviously our college goal this year with regard to academics. Last year we implemented in the world history classes both data received from teachers and students. We identified that they really struggled with study skills. So instead of, we implemented that for the first time in the spring last year, but we were like, we really need to change that to the fall so that we can catch them sooner. So this year we did it within the first 3 weeks of school in the world history classes, and that really goes over well. And it also gives them a lot of resources specific to their learning style after they take that inventory. So we've had some good responses with that. Then finally was social emotional goals. Following the pandemic, obviously we know that we still have an increased SEL need. So basically the counseling office, as well as the rest of our student support service providers, we've met regularly to identify any needs, best practices that can make us more efficient and effective with both our students and our own internal practices. And so this year our biggest goal was, we've been hitting really hard on how to teach students coping skills and how to provide a lot of those supports to the students within the school setting. But we're also trying to expedite that process to make sure the students are within that classroom setting as much as possible. So we identified a practice that we've been using with our, some people call it the break room, most of us call it the calming room. If a student comes down in crisis and needs to kind of like recover, and then obviously meet with the counselor. Sometimes they'll go into the calming room first, or sometimes they'll meet with the counselor. Depends on the physical symptoms of the student and their need at the time. But we are setting timers and basically having them, they have to do a digital detox. There's a digital detox box that they put all of their computers and phones into before they go into the room. Then we have coping skills in there, like adult coloring pages, journaling, those kinds of things that are technology free. And basically after we set that timer, then the student gets to reflect. There, we have an exit slip that asks what coping skills did you use, how effective were they. We had them rate how they felt before and how they felt afterwards, so that we're kind of tracking data and making sure, again, that it's effective and efficient. So those have been our big goals. I summarized a lot of what's coming up in the next couple of months. But spring is always pretty busy for us. We have career fairs. We have obviously registration happening where we're going to be meeting with all the students. We're helping seniors with FAFSA at the same time we're registering students for next year. So a lot going on right now, but always exciting and fun. So, and then just to highlight what the SEL Hub is, basically, this was an opportunity provided by the Regional Office of Education, REACH, and Lurie Children's. And basically, our SEL interventionist, one school counselor, social worker, school psych, one administrator, one regular education teacher, and one special education teacher serve on like a board to be able to look at data and what the school's practices are and to identify any trauma-informed needs or practices that still need to be implemented. So basically they looked at like the 5 essentials data, and they looked at several other data points, Power School reports and such, and they identified various things they wanted to work on, and then they're providing support, the ROE is providing support to help them through that. Some of the things that they've done this year specifically are they completed various trauma-related modules. And all of those modules are really, again, focused on ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences, and how that impacts their education, or how they can focus in education. The SEL Hub members and a few teachers also attended the Youth Mental Health First Aid training that has already been completed. Several members and administrators also attended the PREPARE training, which is a research-based crisis response. And then we're holding weekly student support services clinical supervision to go over, once again, best practices. We'll also go over on occasion vignettes to talk about, okay, if a student came in with this, how would everybody approach that situation? Just to make sure that we are all consistent in our practices, and kind of helping one another out. And then finally, their future focus is to help train staff and faculty, our staffalty word. I realize that's not a real word after a couple years. I was like, wait a minute. It gets spell checked every time. But staffalty and trauma-informed environments. So basically going to help train everyone on triggers as well as practices that they can be implementing within the classroom and within the school environment in general. And then promoting staffalty personal wellness. So obviously trying to help prevent education burnout or any concerns related to when you are supporting students in every facet. So, do I have any questions? All right, well then that is it. As usual, we just hugely thank you. You guys have been so incredibly supportive through the years. Counseling is extremely excited to get our makeover here soon. But it's truly a pleasure to work here and to feel as supported as we have been, and all of the opportunities you guys give to us. So thank you guys.
Thank you. There's no public comment this evening. On the finance, are there a motion to approve the bills for LaSalle-Peru Township High School?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Murba?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. Are there a motion to approve the bills for the LP Area Career Center?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mr. Murba?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. A motion to approve the payroll report?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Murba?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. A motion to approve the financial records as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Murba?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. And a motion to approve the required board and employee travel expense reimbursements?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Murba?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
You were almost a doctor too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Under correspondence, we have a thank you card for Mrs. Brindy Holm and family for the beautiful arrangement in memory of her stepfather, Mr. Edmund Thornton. Under TIF reimbursements, we have the Village of Tonica, TIF 2 for $7,248.54. City of LaSalle intergovernmental agreement, TIFs, $11,478.65. In the Village of North Utica, TIF 1 and TIF 2, $4,713.70, which is a total TIF reimbursement of $23,440.89. Under board reports, Building and Grounds, Mr. Ferrari.
Building and Grounds Committee met last Monday, 16th. We discussed the phone system replacement recommendations, and you will see under new business item 10.4 is the recommended bid from PSEC Electric, which was approved unanimously by the committee, and we are recommending that. Sports complex security cameras. That's another matter we discussed and approved, and you will see that under item 10.5 under new business. We further discussed the status of ongoing projects like the concessions press box building over at the sports complex phase 2 and the field sign. Those matters are all ongoing. We discussed the spring and summer projects that will be upcoming. There'll be a bid opening for the counseling PE office renovation in early February, and then there'll probably be a recommendation for the board at our next meeting. They're anticipating a recommendation regarding Howard Fellows Stadium renovations for the March meeting. The Dolan Building elevator modernization is still ongoing, and it is currently felt that it will be completed in time for the start of the next school year by August 1st. We received an update on some of the projects supported by Mr. Kowalski regarding the health occupations classrooms and the early childhood playground in the Dolan building. Discussions with Mr. Kowalski and LP are ongoing. And let's see. There was discussion about putting a rolling door in the northeast corner of the ACC building. Some of the new equipment won't fit through the current doorway, and so we have to find a way to get these large pieces of equipment in. So that is apparently what they've come up with. So that's a project
On Creve
that
Coeur
will
Street.
take place probably during the summer, I'm assuming.
Hopefully sooner than that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We've got the plans from Mr. Kometz, and Mr. Tomnell is put them on the street. So we're just waiting to get proposals.
They're currently looking at updating the furnace units for the auto shop. The current equipment is failing, and it was installed in 1990, so it's gotten over 30 years of use. So they're looking into that now.
And if I could add too, we have an update since our meeting.
Okay.
We have a plan we received from John Service and Sales. We submitted an emergency health life safety amendment, which was approved by the ROE and ISB. So we are already progressing with getting the parts and equipment ordered for installation.
That's good. Nice to have that going
Mhm.
before the next cold snap
Exactly.
hits.
Exactly.
And that pretty much covers everything that we discussed.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Murlow.
We also met on January 16th, and we obviously, like we do every month, review the financials, ask questions. Just to point of reference, we're 50% of the way through the year. And we're at 60.36% of expenditures. Now, that's a little higher than normal because of transfers of working cash and health, life, safety things. We've been saying this, I think, since the school year began. So, but we have 79.73% of our revenues. So that's where we stand at this point. We did, as you will see, there's a motion regarding the district budget development, the resolution, which we obviously recommend. It's an action item. The phone system replacement, we talked about that also. There wasn't a formal recommendation, but we talked about it at that time, but we see the recommendations on the agenda. We also discussed the sports complex security camera recommendation and voted to have that and recommend that also. And then we discussed 2 new activity accounts, one for mock trial and one for Cavs Day, that we also recommended approval of and we discussed. And then the final thing was the same update regarding the LP Sports Complex Phase 2 update that we discussed.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Programs Committee,
Yep.
Dr. Lynch.
The Programs Committee met yesterday. Really, we're just 2 items on our agenda, and the first is an action item for us tonight. The 2 members who were present at the meeting are recommending the board approve the final exam waiver that is under new business items this evening. After a very thorough process that was initiated by the instructional leadership team, the proposal is for all students who meet the academic and attendance requirements for a class be eligible for a final exam waiver for that class. The attendance requirement is 3 or fewer absences, and the academic requirement is an 80% grade. That's an A or a B. Additionally, seniors would be exempt from finals in each area of the SAT in which they score a meets or exceeds standard. And they don't turn the lights out at the same time, okay. And if they meet or exceed in two SAT areas, they would be eligible for final exam exemptions in all of their classes. Now, the rationale behind this waiver proposal is really to encourage good grades and good attendance. LP offered a final exam waiver some years ago, you might remember, abandoned it just a few years ago at a time when there was a lot of emphasis and focus on final exams in college. Since then, methods at all levels of evaluating academic success have evolved and changed. And that results on a lot less focus on traditional final exams. Notably, however, when the previous waiver was in place here, LP did have a higher attendance rate. With board approval tonight, this waiver could begin this semester, and it would be evaluated on its success in meeting some very specific targets by the end of this school year, and those would include a reduction in chronic absenteeism and an increase in the graduation rate. So 2 members of the Programs Committee in attendance at the meeting recommend you approve this waiver proposal tonight. Is there anything else on that? Anybody that you want to, okay. Anything else? Okay. The other item, and this is the other item that was on our committee agenda, is an update on Cavs Day that we received, and no action to be taken specifically on this, but this is a good follow-up to what to the briefing we got just a few minutes ago from Emmy. Cavs Day is scheduled for the first time this year on March 7th and 8th this semester. And it's been developed by a team led by Jason Miller, the activities director, building on a program you might remember was called Challenge Day. Purpose of Cavs Day is to help students feel a sense of belonging. In small groups, the students will participate in a series of small group activities and games, largely student-led, but also which have an adult leader. There will also be some guest speakers. Goals of the activities including helping students to be more accepting of their peers, to see the consequences very specifically of things like teasing and bullying, to feel less lonely. In planning Cavs Day, Jason and the other members of the team took a very good look at other similar programs, and I think especially at Oswego High School. I think was a big one. So board approval is not needed to approve the establishment of Calves Day, but the Finance Committee is recommending board approval for an activity account for Calves Day, I think so. Anything else on that anybody?
And every board member has a hard copy of the brochure of the program description at your station. For
Yeah,
you
this
to,
is it right
to
here.
Take home.
That was it.
Okay, any questions? Thank you. Okay, administrative reports, superintendent's report, Dr. Vleska.
Thank you, Mr. Sarver. My report is included in your board packet. Just a couple items that I want to highlight. One would be in relation to our ongoing work with kind of renewing our PLCs and reshaping the focus of how we collaborate across the organization. We have a new consultant that we're going to begin working with. Mr. Jack Balderman is currently the superintendent at Westmont Community Unit School District. He had, for 10 plus years prior to becoming superintendent, had been the principal at Westmont High School and has experience in other western suburban high schools. We're excited to begin working with Mr. Balderman. He is truly a nationally recognized leader in implementing the PLC framework. Every school that he's been at, Westmont, and prior to that was at Riverside Brookfield High School, have attained not only PLC model status, school status, but in both situations, and particularly in Westmont, he and his team have been able to elevate the students' academic performance to where they are now ranked as an exemplary school based on the school report card rankings. They've seen increases in attendance, graduation rates, and overall academic performance. And what we're really excited about with Mr. Balderman is that he's I guess I would kind of describe him, he's a high school guy. You know, and so we're excited to have him begin working with our staff. His first on-site visit is going to be February 1st. The other point that I want to call out is another gift or the example of generosity of Mr. Kowalski. He is providing kind of a 3-year financial commitment to the LP Foundation to be able to allow the foundation to craft a consulting position that would be focused on grant writing. And the idea is to be able to not only better access our alumni base, one, to find more Mr. Kowalskis, you know, that would like to be able to provide support to the school, but to also be able to access other private foundations and public foundations that would be able to help us kind of accelerate the kind of financial resources that the foundation can provide. So Mrs. DePape and I are, between this now and next month, are crafting a job description and a kind of a job posting. It's going to be a consultant position. It's not going to be hired staff, so we're not going to be paying benefits in that. And the foundation board is in agreement that the first targeted area for year 1 is going to be the auditorium. We have a request from Mrs. Veruki to replace the lighting system. That's about $170,000 price tag, and we're also going to go back and rekindle our focus on restoring the organ.
Yeah.
And we thought this could be a really great starting point for this individual to have an impact on one of our most public facilities and one of our most treasured facilities. And we know that these components will get used. So we're excited to see what this is going to look like. So we have a 3-year financial commitment with the idea that this individual, if we find the right person, could over time self-sustain their position based on the kind of grants that they can get that can also help pay for themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'll have more to share on that as that progresses, but that will be run and overseen by the LP Foundation. And lastly, we had a FOIA request this past month. This was from the Illinois Retired Teachers Association. This is an annual request, what they asked for the names and email addresses of certified staff who are retiring at the end of this year. And we replied to that request. That's all I have, unless there are questions.
Thank you. Principal report, Mrs. Cushing.
Good evening. My report, I'll just highlight a few things that I think you'll find of interest there. I'll kind of go along with what Dr. Robleski had said about some of our work with PLCs. You know, we've been working on our 2 goals of district goals. And so during first semester, we had really focused in on the school level and district level, as well as our collaborative teams. And then this semester, our focus has really shifted to what is the individual teacher doing. And I even introduced the idea at our Institute Day of how are we letting the students know. So now we have really gotten into really every stakeholder basically in our district. And some of our teachers have already communicated with me about how they have taken that back to their classrooms and how they are thinking really truly about individually what they are specifically doing, what else they want to learn so that they can really reach those goals. And how they are sharing that with their students. So students have been coming up with some really good ideas, actually. So I'm excited to hear that our students are coming up with good ideas to reach those goals as well. The other thing that I wanted to point out is we are now approaching testing season as well. So we kicked that off with the access test for all of our English language learners. So that will take place for 108 students. It's quite growing, that population. I would say fastest growing population in our building currently, subgroup wise. And we'll begin that on the end of the month here, and we'll carry over into beginning of February. We also had to adjust with all the snow days, as you can imagine, our winter benchmark, and I'll have some comparative data for you once that's all in to compare to our fall benchmark. On a positive note, the other thing I will share with you is we have our 8th grade Catholic School Shadow Day tomorrow. We will have 20 students here to shadow through the building, and we're very excited to be able to offer that opportunity to them and hopefully convince them that the Cavaliers and the red and green combination will look lovely on them. So we look forward to that. Does anyone have any questions about other items that were on my report that I did not discuss? Thank you.
Thank you. Athletic Director's report, Mr. Hansen's an IHSA event this evening. His report's in your packets. Director of Area Career Center, Mr. Minka.
Thank you. First of all, the report you have in there is indeed the January report, not the December one. I apologize for that screw up. But in addition to what you've seen in the report, just to add up an additional few things, for Students of the Month, we did honor Mia Wishkowiak today, but also Niles Tremper. At the time of sending this in, the teacher, Niles' teacher, hadn't responded yet, but he did indeed, and we honored him today as well with Student of the Month. Both of them just phenomenal kids that, aside from excellent grades, also have excellent skills in each of the areas that they're going in. Things that didn't make it into the report, if you looked in your inbox today, you'll see my newsletter. Very proud of having our first set of drone pilots certified over break. Mr. Leahy was able to get 6 students certified with their 107 licensing for drone piloting. That's a first for that program. This semester we'll be concentrating on the desk exam for the private pilot's license with Mr. Golden at about May or so at that time. We're very thankful to Hy-Vee for the donation of the donut maker, so in the near future you'll probably be getting an invitation to a donut day at the Career Center. The kids are excited for that to happen. And it's a nice piece of equipment. We just have to work one little thing out with Mr. Luke Wise and with some wiring to get it to work properly. We're looking at, again, one little addition to what Dr. Robleski reported on. I'm happy to say that on Tuesday, the Board of Control for the ACC approved the funding stream for the Pope automotive furnace replacement that's going to go on over there. So that was all approved and ready to go. And according to John's, it hopefully will happen pretty soon, and we'll get that thing up and running. And the other parts are clinical assignment. Mrs. Johnson reports that the 5 kids are extremely excited and doing well at the placements that they got for that internship program, which hopefully is going to lead in a couple of years to us having a bigger choice of teachers to come in here. So, if anyone has any questions, happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, shirts complimented Mr. Kowalski. When he wanted to surprise the kids, he said, "I want to buy some extra ones too." So that's where those came from. So.
Thank you. Director of Communications, Mr. Baker.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Probably the biggest piece in my report this month is tied to the new website officially launching. So if you've been there, you've seen what it looks like now. We've got it out, obviously got word out to families when that happened. We've gotten some good constructive notes in, as well as some, I think, compliments from staffers and families alike. So that's been good. Obviously, we'll continue making small updates and stuff. It has been a good process, I think, just as a way to force us to kind of look back at the site and things. As you saw just from Mrs. Carney tonight, they do a lot in the counseling office, and that's reflected in their section of the website. It's probably one of the most content-dense areas. So we really had an opportunity to go through and reorganize some things, and working with Mrs. Carney at the end of the last semester, I think came up with some nice additions, some new ways of presenting that information, because it is chock full of links and documents and all sorts of things for our students and families. So the new site allows us some opportunities to show that up and present it well. The other piece wasn't in the reports, just kind of happened recently, but I got to work with Miss Lance and her team, and we're using some of the resources that we already have in our communication system to help help them be a little more time effective in their communications with families and stuff. So excited, thrilled to kind of help make everyone else's lives a little bit easier, I hope. Kate, is that actually working?
Yes.
All right, great. Perfect. So that's a big piece. And then the only other thing from, I guess, the foundation, just so you can help maybe keep on the horizon, the next big event will be Trivia Night, but that's not coming up until April on the 20th. But feel free to start penciling that in. So that's all, unless you have any questions. Thanks. Have a great night.
Okay, under new business. A motion to approve the resolution to authorize the superintendent to prepare the fiscal year 25 district budget.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. A motion to approve the 2023 annual disclosure report.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve a resolution authorizing Dr. Stephen R. Bileski, signatory for Edson Bach Scholarship at Hometown National Bank.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the hiring of FISEC Electric for purchase installation of the HIVAV phone system for $77,003.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the hire Convergent via the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative for security camera system at the LP Sports Complex for $89,385.61.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the increase the competitive bidding threshold from $25,000 to $35,000 in policy 4.60 purchases and contracts per Public Act 103-0008.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the lead bids for the following projects. A, Early Childhood Playground and Learning Lab, and B, Howard Fellows Stadium renovation.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve to establish the following activity accounts. A, mock trial account, and B, Cavs Day account.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the final exam waiver proposal.
So moved. Second.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the following retirement with regrets. Mrs. Sharon Hart, food service production, staff and cashier, effective January 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes, I need a motion to approve the LP Crunching Cads Youth Wrestling Program request to host the IKWF West Sectional Regional Wrestling Tournament on Sunday, February 25th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to move the executive closed session for A, discussion of the minutes of the meetings lawfully closed under the Opens Meeting Act, whether for the approval, purpose of approval by the body of the minutes or the semi-annual review of the minutes. B, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee. C, collective bargaining matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more class of employees. In D, imminent pending litigation with open session and possible action items to follow.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Murbaugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes.